Here we see footage of German soldiers walking the streets looking for Jews. Every day in the town square, the town citizens would line up for inspection. German officers would inspect the town to make sure there were no Jews. It was very important that there were no Jews and that all of the Jews were put into furnaces. Therefore, all Jews were taken to camps, and those camps had furnaces where billions and billions of Jews were burned. Here we see a German officer inspecting his soldiers and the townspeople to make sure that nobody is crypto. If he sees any cryptos, he pulls them out and sends them to the camps, where they're put in furnaces, burned into soap. Oh, look, here comes the Fuhrer. He's here to inspect the camps and also make sure that all of the Jews have been turned into soap. He's there to inspect the town soap. As you can see, the people of the town are so maniacal that they're happy to see the most evil man on to ever live. Wow. The Fuhrer asked to inspect their hands. Everywhere the Fuhrer goes, he asks people to see their hands so that he can tell if they're a Jew. The entire city is there to show the Fuhrer their hands so that they can prove that they're not a Jew. The Fuhrer is so bloodthirsty that the entire army follows him around every day just to make sure that if he finds someone who has Jewish hands, that they are promptly taken to the camps and turned into soap or lampshades. The Fuhrer is such an evil man, so maniacally bloodthirsty, that he makes the army carry one flag for every Jew that they have sent to the camps that day. That's almost 6 million Jews every day. Look at all these flags. Wow, I can't even believe it. Wow, this is really, really based. That's a lot of Jews. The Fuhrer is so insane that they make soap out of the burned Jews, which the Germans are required to use every day to wash their hands. That's the other reason that everyone must always show the Fuhrer their hands. It's absolutely disgusting, and I can't even believe that. Here we see a satanic Nazi festival in which the Fuhrer has commanded that every woman have 10 babies every year. You can see how physically drained the men and women of Germany are, absolutely driven insane with their blood and lust. The shared group delusional psychosis suffered by the German people is what allows something like this to happen. Look at all of these gentlemen dressed in fine hats, holding their hands up and then hiding them. It's an insane world in which no one would want to live. Wow. They even have a ball pit set up where they can kill Jews. Young men and children even take turns gassing Jews and throwing them into furnaces where they could be turned into soap. Here we see them testing a child for Jewish DNA. It's absolutely a Holocaust of mythical proportions. Some Jews were made to dance until they literally died. Some were forced to dress up like Germans and celebrate festivities that weren't Jewish until they died. It's really very brutal when you think about it. How could an entire country of people all become evil and bloodthirsty against all Jews all at once for absolutely no reason whatsoever? Wow, this is unreal and unbelievable. Reich Germany was the most evil place ever known to man. It was like hell on earth. Look at the clean streets, the clean buildings, the magnificent architecture everywhere in the monumental style of the Romans, and all of the clean, well-dressed and well-shaped white people everywhere. How disgusting, how evil, what an evil place. It's so good that we bombed it off of the earth. Isn't it, guys? Isn't it good that we're not speaking German? Wow. In this footage, we see the Fuhrer inspecting the horses, making sure that there are no Jewish horses among the Reich stables. Jewish horses would be sent to the camps and turned into glue to glue together the packages for the soap. Disgusting. A fine Italian soap manufacturer from Italy has come to visit. He's very impressed with the soap and the operation that the insane Hitler has put together. So evil. Researchers have since determined that the Italian soap baron actually became one of the world's most evil men as well. Maybe even the world's second most evil man, behind Hitler, who taught him how to become evil and how to make soap from Jews. Amazing, it looks like the new Jew skin drumheads are finally complete, and now the marching band can now beat Jews all the way down the street. As you can see, they are playing drums made from Jew skin that wasn't fit for lampshades. Wow. Incredible. Here comes the Fuhrer, beating and raping every French person after sacking Paris. He took Paris quite easily. He's so evil and corrupt. As you can see, they burned the entire city to the ground. Here you see a massive fire hosing operation to put out the fires that Hitler had set to the French capital. They barely saved Paris. And all Hitler could do was march around and make everybody show their hands. No one's going to believe this even happened. The Fuhrer had many spies among his personal guard, and to this end no German citizen or soldier knew who was a spy and who wasn't. Therefore, every German had to show each other their hands every time they saw each other. This caused them to slowly become insane with rage, a pure, blind rage. They began to hate, and they certainly began to hate the hands of the Jews, which were tiny, little bitty hands, little weak hands, little goblin hands, they thought. All across Europe there were signs and tells of how ancient civilizations had come and gone because they mixed with brown people. Hitler didn't like brown people. How would the Germans advance? How would they progress? How could they possibly build a civilization without brown people in their civilization, at least as slaves? Who could possibly want to live in such an abominable civilization? It would be utterly chaotic. There would be nothing but despotism everywhere. Nazism, fascism everywhere. No freedom to twerk, no freedom for mumble rap, no freedom for smoking crack. By God, what kind of hell would that be? Certainly nobody would want to live there, and it would be absolutely disgusting, and certainly nobody would want to live in a place like that. And who, in their right mind, could possibly live underneath a tyrannical ruler, an insane madman, an absolute despotic beast, such as the Fuhrer, without being under the complete and total control of propaganda and Nazi mind control? Wow, it's crazy to even think about that, but you have to imagine it because you weren't even there, and the people who were there said that, and there's nobody to say otherwise. Understand? The Fuhrer is coming. Everyone is driven insane in an insane rage because of the anticipation, because of the fear that strikes at the heart of every German when the Fuhrer comes to check your hands. Show your hands, please. You must always show your hands to the Fuhrer. These children were in the gravest danger of all, because if their hands look even a little bit Jewish, they would be made into lampshades. Children have the softest skin, which makes them the best lampshades. Wow, that's utterly unbelievable, and I can't imagine how anyone would even come up with something like that. That's purely demonic, and it's hard to even imagine. Well, after a long morning of hand inspections, it's very important that the Fuhrer get to check the countryside for Jews. He will spend a good part of his morning staring into the distance to see if he can find any Jews. If anyone sees any Jews, they are immediately picked up and put on a train and taken to the camp, where they made Jews into soaps. All Jews spotted by the Fuhrer will be bombed immediately and then picked up and put on special airplanes and flown directly to the camps, skipping the trains altogether. This was reserved for only the biggest Jews. The Italian soap baron is very, very impressed with the entire operation. He will then later work together with Adolf Hitler, the most insane, crazy madman to ever exist, in a gigantic soap cooperation deal which could threaten our democracy forever and all of Europe's vast Jewish child trafficking and pornography empire. Wow. I can totally believe that. Of course, that's all a bunch of crazy talk, and nobody would ever find any evidence of that anywhere, ever, would they? There certainly would never be any evidence of that clearly on record or in any courts that was sealed, by any chance. Huh. No way. Certainly the crazy and insane, bloodthirsty German people and German government wouldn't have any files on hand that had any dirt at all about any Jews or any Jewish agents across Germany or the rest of Europe. Certainly the right government had absolutely no reason at all to target Jews, and it certainly is a good thing that we completely pulverized every square inch of that town into dust, so that absolutely no such evidence could ever be found, nor would it ever be admitted by any of the Russian communists that were actually Jews that actually took control of Germany. Here we see another disgusting and demonic satanic ritual in which the German people embrace their own ancient pagan traditions and not the new and modern Judeo-Christianity, which is wholly benevolent and only cares about saving the world from white people. Wow, that's insane, isn't it? Doesn't that sound fantastic and incredible? Imagine the kind of sheer hell it would create if white people found out that someone had discovered their evil plan to take over the world and stop them by implementing communism all the way around the world over the last 2,000 years. What kind of absolutely twisted and demonic man could possibly conceive of saving his own race when threatened with genocide by Jewish communists who were pretending to be Russian Bolsheviks, who actually controlled all of Europe except for Germany and the USA, even in 1945, when the white population was 33% of the world versus today's 7%. Hitler, who was worried about white genocide, must have been insane to think that the white population could be on the decline and that the Jews could be involved in a conspiracy to remove the white race from the planet, because that's totally insane and would never happen. It would totally require the entire government of any country to be under the control of Jews, and that certainly isn't the case in any